Hey, what's going on, fam? It is my last day here in North Carolina. I am heading home. I am super excited. Got some exciting things to tell you guys next week. Got some stuff I've been working on. Really excited. Hopefully, we can start working from home a little bit, or at least closer to home. Uh, just with the stuff that I'm working on to generate different types of business, but anyways, I want to talk to you guys about why I reconciled this claim without the contractor sending in an Xactimate. There is this false notion that unless a contractor sends in an Xactimate, that we don't have to reconcile claims. That is not true. Okay? So, what you need to do is you need to look at the policy and you need to look at the statutes for unfair claim settlement practices. Nowhere in the policy does it state that a contractor has to submit an Xactimate estimate. All the policy state is that the contractor has to submit a detailed estimate. And the statutes state that everything that we do just has to be reasonable. Okay? So, lump sum estimates, not real reasonable, is not broken out enough. But Xactimate line by line estimate, hey, there's nowhere that says that a contractor has to submit in an Xactimate estimate for us to reconcile it. All right, we're still obligated for the cost incurred no matter how the contractor presents his estimate to us. It's all about presentation, right? And some of you new guys have this false notion that we can't reconcile claims if the contractor sends an estimate to us that's not an Xactimate. Xactimate is a guideline only. Okay? It's a guideline only. It's not the law. All right? And I'm actually surprised, honestly, contractors who aren't good at Xactimate, I'm surprised they allow themselves to get bullied into submitting, going out and buying that software, incurring that cost to let, a adjuster reconcile the estimate easier because it makes life easier on the adjuster than the contractor. You don't have to do that, okay? Now, you have to fight that a little bit more. Yeah, if you're a contractor, because there's going to be new adjusters out there, or this actually might be coming from the top where they say, hey, we're not going to reconcile a claim if it's not Xactimate. All you got to say is, where in the policy and where in the statutes does it say I have to present to you an Xactimate estimate for you to reconcile my estimate to your estimate? Tell me where that is. And if you can't do it, then you're not paying my estimate, as long as it's reasonable. Remember, we're all talking about reasonable here. Is an act of bad faith. It is. By and large, it's an act of bad faith. Now, again, your estimate has to be reasonably close to the Xactimate estimate. Otherwise, they do have a right to say, hey, you need to break this down for us a little bit more. Okay? We need to see where this difference is coming. But if you're in the ballpark, there's nothing that says you can't stand to your guns and get that estimate approved. Okay? All right, so this guy sent in his estimate. Now, here's the deal. This is why this went so smooth. Okay, I knew from the beginning that this contractor did not have Xactimate. All right, and even though I hate being both the field adjuster and a desk adjuster on some of these jobs, which that's what they're going with now is sometimes the field adjuster can be the desk adjuster as well. Though I hate that, this is a case where it actually played out really well because me and the contractor, were communicating up front and we were on the same page the whole time. Okay, we were working together. It's what we're supposed to do. We're trying to bring the insured back to an image, so we're working together. Okay, and so I sent him my estimate and he says, well, I don't have Xactimate. I said, don't worry about it. Okay, this is what you need to recognize. One, Xactimate is a guideline. And so we want to stay as close as we can to this guideline. Now, if there's a difference in scope, you need to let me know. But if I got the scope right, then all we're doing is using these prices as the guideline. Okay? What you're going to do, and this is what you guys need to do who are trying to reconcile estimates from contractors that don't come in Xactimate, there's a great little page on your Xactimate report called Trade Summaries. Trade Summaries. It's awesome, right? And what you can do is you can go summary by summary. Flooring, wood flooring costs this much. Tile flooring costs this much. Painting costs this much. And you can look at the trades and reconcile the contractor's estimate just by going through the trades, okay? So if the contractor estimate comes back, and let's just say, I can reconcile claims lump sum by trade just because I used to be a contractor and I understand what's included. So if he comes back and says, hey, turn out wood floors, installing T-mold, installing shoe mold, staining, shoe mold, T-mold, etc., comes out to, $5,000. Okay? So it's kind of a lump sum by the trade. He didn't break out, all right, this is how much T-mold costs, this is how much shoe mold costs, this is how much the floor is going to cost, this is how much the demo is going to cost. If he just gives me a lump sum prices, but I can see the items that are included, all I got to do is I go to my trade summary in Xactimate, and I look up shoe mold. Write it down I open up Excel and I put it in an Excel box, right? Shoe mold costs this much. Painting shoe mold costs this much. Floors cost this much. And I can see, oh, you know what? Mine came out to, $4,800. He's at $5,000. Okay? Let me see can I find out if there's any difference? All right, so you including something I'm not including. I don't need to know the exact price. Oh, there was a delivery cost. There's a delivery cost. The floors weren't in stock. That's a cost incurred. Guess what? Boom, reconciled. Didn't need an Xactimate. Didn't need to call him up and figure it out. It's real simple. Paint. He did a great job here. He actually submitted in he did it by time and materials, which I love doing that because it's a lot easier to reconcile, right? So it's not just a lump sum price. He actually did his by time and materials. And so he said, okay, there's X amount of drywall that I have to repair, which means I have to go buy X amount of drywall. Okay, that's a cost incurred. The insured would not have to have bought that drywall if they didn't need to have drywall fixed. So you might have put in, 44 feet of drywall. Drywall comes in a 32 square foot sheet. That means you need 64 feet of drywall. So he bought 2 sheets of drywall. He showed me what the price was of 2 sheets of drywall, and then he only estimated for his labor to install the drywall. Now guess what? In Xactimate, there's a whole bunch of little calculations that happen to kind of come up with the same number. He was within, every trade was within, it was less than 5% difference. Every single trade was less than 5% difference. Which, when you factor in the fact that inflation's so high right now, and Xactimate's a little bit slow in catching up to inflation, that means his numbers were spot on. They're on the money. I didn't need an Xactimate estimate to figure out that his estimate was right on the money. Okay? And so he said, hey, I had to buy 2 sheets of drywall. This is what the drywall cost me. And this is the time that I put into the drywall. This is, my guys spent this much time. My flooring guys spent this much time. This is what our floors cost us, right? So he broke it up by time and material. And we were, as I said, we were within just a few percentage points of difference. Guess what? Paid the claim. That simple. Just paid the claim. He did a great job. We communicated the whole time. He understood what I needed, and I understood the resources he had, and we came up to an agreement on how we could get this customer insured super fast. There was no additional inspection needed. There's no, going back and forth. Well, why don't you take this out? Why don't you take this out? Why don't you make your estimate look like my estimate? He doesn't need to do that. The law requires us to pay the reasonable amount, the reasonable cost of repairs. That's all the law requires us to do. It does not require the contractor to bend over backwards to make our life easier as adjusters in order for us to get a claim paid. Now, if he had come back, I do want to speak to this. If he had come back and said, I can't remember what my cost was. I think it was just a few $100s off, right? Let's say he came back and his estimate was twice the amount as my estimate. Okay, now we need to dive into a little bit more. Okay, let's walk through these numbers a little bit more. Okay, you say that it's this much money for the flooring. This is how much I have according to my trade summaries. Where's our difference here, right? And I might have to go into, this is the other thing. You guys don't know enough about Xactimate to do this, but you have to log in or look inside. What materials are allowed, what cost of materials are allowed in the Xactimate pricing versus what they actually cost when the contractor sends in that invoice, right? And so you kind of look at that. Okay, the Xactimate pricing allows for a $4.50 piece of wood or a $5 piece of wood, whatever it is. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but the point is, if the material allowance in Xactimate is $5, but they came back with $6.50, okay, again, Xactimate is based on averages, okay? Is $6.50 the actual cost of the materials? We know that by an ITEL report. Do we know that because the insured actually had some spare floors up in their attic, and there's a box, and you had the code, and you can go online, you can look up what those floors actually cost? Okay, sure enough, yeah, it's $6.50, not $5. It's a $1.50 difference. That's a lot of, think about $1.50 over 1,000 square feet. That's $1,500. You know what I'm saying? That's significant, right? So, yeah, you gotta, when you're reconciling claims, the contractor does not have to bend over backwards for you to do your job. You can still do your job. All he has to do is send in an estimate that's detailed enough for you to understand what's going on, what things cost, look at your trade summary, and reconcile the claim from there. So, anyways, I just wanted to walk through that with you guys. I know some of y'all some of you guys are posting it on Facebook like it's the law. Yeah, I'm just getting too frustrated about this, but it's not the law, guys. Xactimate is exactly that, an estimate. It's not law. Okay, it doesn't hold up in a court of law, especially if you're using the average numbers. The average floor costs this. That means that there's floors are going to cost more and floors that cost less, right? It's just a program of averages, and you should be able to stay within those averages as long as your scopes agree. Okay? So anyways, you got any questions, comments, go ahead and leave those below. Also comment on how you guys work with contractors or public adjusters, and what your secrets are to get claims handled and insureds covered. Appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.